Hi, I'm Kimmy with On William Street, and we are here to help you become a more confident quilter, from the piecing to the quilting and everything in between. So this week, we are going to learn a fun new free motion quilting motif. So each month this year, I am teaching you a free motion quilting motif that I like to use in my quilting to help you become more confident in finishing your quilts. So to quilt these up, we are going to be using some little mini practice sandwiches. Mine, I have my top cut at about 12 inches and my backing is cut at about 14 inches, just to give a little bit of extra so you can hang on to that as you're moving around. This doesn't need to be anything fancy. Grab some scraps. If you do have some solid scraps, I definitely recommend practicing on solids, because that's going to help you see your stitches better, so you kind of know what you need to work on, what you need to practice, and what you need to get better at. And then also your batting can just be scraps. It doesn't really matter what kind of batting you have here, anything you have left over to make these quilt practice sandwiches. So don't forget, everything that we're going to talk about and everything I'm going to show you, I will have also directions written out in our blog post. So I'm going to link that in the description below the video, so you can head over to our website, check out our blog post, see diagrams, and see everything that we're going to go over today. Also, while you're there, you can check out our shop where we have all sorts of fun modern quilting patterns for you. So don't forget to check that out and see what you can find. So the motif I'm going to show you today is one that fits inside of a square. You can kind of adjust it to make fit in some different sizes as well, do half of it in some different things. So I'll show you some variations there. But the main motif is going to fit in a square. So it's really fun to use if you have, a quilt that has a lot of pre-marked squares on it. This is a fun and easy one that you can use to fill that in. Or if you have implied square shapes, you can also make it fit in those as well. All right, so I've grabbed my sketchbook, and I definitely like to sketch things out before I quilt them. It kind of gets it in your head. It gets your body thinking, okay, I know where I'm going to go. This is the direction I'm going to be quilting. So it really helps with that muscle memory. And so that you don't get into the middle of quilting it and go, crap, where do I go next? You'll have that built up, and you'll have that ready to go from practicing on the doodle, on the paper first. So this motif, like I said, it fits in shapes. So first I'm going to kind of mark out a rough square here. We're also going to go ahead and put it in a triangle, and we're going to do it in a circle. So with this motif, we're going to pretend like there is an imaginary line. We're going to put an imaginary line down the center. We're going to pretend like there is a line down the center. And so when we start out, we're not going to cross over that line. We're going to work this half of the motif, then we're going to come over here and work this half of the motif. So what you want to do is you want to kind of go in and out and then back in, almost to that line, but not quite. Then we're going to echo that shape back. So it kind of looks like a hill, right? You're going to go up and then back down, and then we're going to come back. Then we're going to go up and do another loop, come up, almost touch, and back. And we're filling in that inside space. Then we're going to do our last loop. Now this half is done, and now we're going to move over and do the second half. So we're going to come down this side, come up and around, and we're not going to try to touch these. We're just going to bring them close together, but the leaves are not connected. There, and you have this really nice, fun, flowery, organic shape going on here. If I'm doing it in a triangle, you can definitely come in and do this, and you can just do half the shape if you want and just do these fun hilly loops. And then from here, you can either go forward to come out, you can go back and meet back to the point where you started. And then we can also easily make this fit in our circle. There's our line. And you don't have to mark this line out when you're quilting, but if you're more comfortable doing that, go ahead and grab yourself a marking pen. Make sure it's one that you've tested on your fabric first so that you know it will come out. And you can mark that line in to help you as you kind of get the feel for that. So we're going to come out and just follow that loop back, make the second loop back, and make the third. Then we're going to come and just fill in the second half of our little flower. So it fits very nicely in all those different shapes. So you can do this if you have squares or circles across your quilt. You can just do the same direction, the same motif around. You can kind of show them around a center point, and I'm going to show you that when we stitch it out on the fabric. Like I said, you can always do halves and triangles, and it's a fun shape that's easy to adapt to those different scenarios. So let's go ahead and move over and stitch it out. So for this motif, I have started by marking out some squares on here, and you're gonna notice I'm using black thread so that you can see it. You don't have to use black thread. You can definitely use something that blends so that it doesn't stand out quite as much. So I'm gonna go ahead and start in the square motif. I'm just gonna go ahead and start in the middle here. We'll make kind of a funky flower radiating out. So let me grab my bottom thread first, get that out of the way, and take just a couple of stitches to get started. Okay, now I'm going to pull those threads underneath out, because then I can make sure that they aren't getting tangled up in my stitching. So remember, we got our invisible line. Like I said, you can definitely actually sketch it in down the center of that block that we don't want to go over with this design. So I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way out and do the outside one first. Come back in. I'm gonna do my middle one. And then I'm gonna have a small center one. And that's okay, that my center is a little bit smaller. I could have done these a little bit skinnier if you want that center one to be bigger. Then we're gonna come out and come down and around. I'll come out and just echo it around. Now that we're back to the center, I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate it around and do the next one. And then one more. Move that out of the way. You can see it's kind of a nice, really fun organic flower shape. So then we can also do this in the triangle as well, but we're only going to do half of it. And then from here, like I say, if you wanted to, you could certainly follow along that triangle to get to your next starting point, or you could go back the other direction as well. So you could also go back this way to get back to your starting point as well. So there's our triangles. And then on this one, because it is a circle and sometimes it's harder to visualize the center, I'm going to mark my center down my circle. This is a water erase pen, so it will come off quite easily. And those marks won't be there when we're all done. going to start from. And there's the same motif in a circle. So it's really lots of fun. You can adapt it to fit lots of different shapes. So grab your sketchbook, draw out your shapes, your squares, your circles, your triangles, so that you can practice this motif in the different shapes and the different areas, and then head to your sewing machine and try sketching and try stitching it out and see what you think. And as always, like I said, the instructions, everything, we've got diagrams and things for you to follow are in the blog post. So if you hit the link underneath of this, the video, it will take you to our blog post and you'll see lots of information to go along with this video. You can also check out our shop where we have lots of fun modern quilting patterns for you to make. So if you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, check us out on Instagram or Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't ever miss any of our fun videos. And we'll see you next week.